So yours is nicknamed the Mighty Green Pea because they all think that's quite a compact machine. What the heck are we going to call this thing?
This is going to have to be the Petit Pois, isn't it? Huh?
This is the Petit Pois.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, hello and welcome along to another review from LandPowerTV. This time we have our hands on the Merlo eWorker fully electric telehandler. Now, those of you with a good memory and those of you who are regular viewers to LandPowerTV.com may remember that I think it was a couple of years ago that we went over to the Merlo factory in Cuneo in Italy, and we tried out one of the very early models of the eWorker. Well, the eWorker since then has evolved and it's now on generation 2, which is what this one is, and it brings with it, I suppose you could say, just a few little bit more refinements. So it's got a brand new screen, which we'll talk about a bit later on, but already I could tell it's a damn sight better than what they had before. And the other major key difference is the fact that they've changed the hydraulic pump and now the machine is running a little bit quieter and a little bit smoother, which is good. So the machine in question that we have is the 25.5-90, and in usual Merlo logic that pretty much relates to the machine's capabilities. So it has a 5-metre reach and it can lift about 2.5 tonnes, and it has the equivalent of about 95 horsepower. If we're going to put that into kilowatts, I think that's about 66, 67, probably closer to 67 kilowatts. And hydraulic performance wise, she can pump out about 42 litres per minute. There is also a 2-wheel drive version, which is slightly less horsepower, about 60 horsepower, but with that comes a tighter turning circle. But saying that though, even though this is the 4-wheel drive version, my God, it turns on a sixpence. Now, unlike other telehandlers in this class, Merlo tells me this machine has been designed from the ground up as a pure electric machine. It's not been adapted like others in its class, where they've basically taken out a diesel engine and they've replaced it with batteries and motors. So ultimately, will that make a difference? Well, that's what we are hoping to find out in this review. Also, rather than using lithium-ion batteries, which tends to be the fashion these days for electric vehicles, this has got a bit more old school. It uses, I suppose you could say, tried and tested lead-acid batteries. Now, the runtime on this machine is said to be a good, solid 8 hours of work. That is 8 hours of proper work. But again, that's what we've been told, and that's what we intend to find out. Will it actually do a good 8 hours of work off one charge? Well, we shall see. As ever, if you are watching this on one of our social media channels, unfortunately for you, this little trailer / teaser video will run out. Fear not, as ever, head on over to that LandPowerTV.com where you can watch this full review episode in all its glory. There's no adverts getting in the way, and we throw in a load of specs to go with it on that there LandPowerTV.com as well. And as ever, a massive thank you to all the sponsors for supporting LandPowerTV. If you can, go check those out. And of course, wherever you are watching this, give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow, and more importantly, subscribe. So, coming up in this episode then, we've got lots for you because we really want to get stuck into this machine and actually work out, well, what can an electric telehandler actually do? So I'm going to crack on, get some mucking out to do. There's always some mucking out, and then we're going to hand it over to our tame farmer, Andrew, who is going to put it through its paces. He's got lots of jobs lined up for it. I think he's going to be filling his diet feeder. He's got lots of silage to dish out, all that kind of stuff. So he's got lots of things to do with it. So, all that to come. Grab yourself a brew, settle down and enjoy. Right, ladies and gents, here we go. Time for a little bit of mucking out action on the little Merlo eWorker. And I must say already, we've had this machine on farm for a couple of days now. We've tried it out on quite a few jobs already. And I'll tell you what, it's turning out to be quite a capable performer. And I would say one of the first things that you've got to get used to is the fact that you've got completely independent control over the speed of the machine, i.e. the drive of the machine, and the actual loader controls of the machine, the loader actions of the machine. Because you've got 4 electric motors on this machine, you've got 2 powering the front wheels, 1 each wheel, you've got another motor powering the rear axle, and then there's a motor for the hydraulics. So they're all independent, particularly between the drive and the hydraulics. So, for example, when you're using like a diesel machine and you are sort of stationary at the side of a trailer that you're dumping into or whatever, and you're raising and booming out and all that sort of thing, what you tend to do is sort of sit there and rev it up a bit, make the hydraulics work. Well, you don't need to rev this thing up to make the hydraulics work. You just move the stick more, basically. Now, in terms of performance, you can actually adjust that a little bit. It's actually got 3 power modes that you can use with the machine. Basically, you just select that here on the dash. So you've got, hang on, here we go. We've got Eco mode, we've got Power mode, and we've got Power Plus mode. And basically what it does between those 3 modes is it kind of just sort of alters the machine's sort of response and performance, you might say. So in Eco mode, you're limited to 19 kph. Power mode, you're limited to 22 kph, I think, and then in Power Plus, you get the full 25 kph. And then, like most telehandlers as well, it's got a couple of handling modes, just basically the same as what you would find on pretty much most Merlos. We've got the pallet mode, which kind of dulls everything down a bit, makes it a little bit safer. And then you've got the full-on, full aggression bucket mode. So obviously, for this job, we want it in bucket mode, giving it everything she's got. I tell you what, look at that! Big bucket, some sloppy calf muck behind the feed barrier there, and she just pushes. Just pushes. Like I say, it's taken us by surprise this week, this machine. And then if you really want to go to town with adjustment of the performance of the machine, you can actually adjust all the hydraulic flow rates on it. So if we go into this menu here, which is through the new dash, which is nice and simple. We'll just press this button again like that, and then we're straight into basically the second layer. There's only 2 layers to it, it's nice and simple. We're into the second layer.